Here we have Turretin moving now in this question number 4. Is natural theology sufficient for salvation? He has said no, it is not sufficient for salvation. He's told us why this question is, it's necessary to answer the question. And then he's going to work through a pretty lengthy, I'm going to try to summarize, and some of it was quite dense, I didn't really understand. But I'm going to try to summarize under 2 different headings that he gives us. Number 1, proof that natural theology is insufficient for salvation. And second section is sources of a solution. So he gives, what do we have here? 3 reasons why natural theology is insufficient for salvation. Number 1 is that there is no saving faith, or saving religion, There is no saving religion without Christ and faith in him. And then he lists several scripture passages: John 3:16, 17:13, Acts 4:11 and 12, 1 Corinthians 3:11, and Hebrews 11:6. He says it's not a valid objection, that it follows from this that Christian religion is the only ordinary way of salvation, and that God couldn't extraordinarily grant salvation to those who might live a holy life according to the law of nature. So he says it's not like, okay, here in the West, we've all heard about Jesus, so Jesus is the way of salvation. But in other parts of the world where maybe they haven't heard about Jesus, God creates other ways of salvation. He says, no, it's not the case. And then second proof is that in Acts 17:30, where people had, speaking of a time of ignorance, that they were at that time without God. And so in the time of ignorance, it's not as though they had God. So he's citing there Acts 17:30 and Acts 17:23. And then, so just because someone is ignorant doesn't mean that there's another pathway to God. Scripture clearly states that they were without God. And then number 3, he says that if salvation could not have been obtained by a common religion, if salvation could have been obtained by a common religion, there would have been no need of the gospel and the preaching of the word. And so he says, if natural theology could have led to salvation, there would have been no need for Jesus to come, live, teach, die, rise from the dead, ascend to heaven, all of those special revelation elements that would have been completely unnecessary if common religion could have led to salvation. And just because this is so dry, and it's not boring to me, but maybe it will be later when I come back and watch some of these videos, I'm going to go ahead and stop here. The proofs that natural theology is insufficient to salvation from Scripture, and then do one more here on question 4 as we look at sources of a solution.